Hey folks, welcome back to the Guns, Gear, and Grub channel. Today I want to do the first video of a new series I want to put out of Monumental firearms designs. I want to go through a bunch of different, historical rifles that made history of some sort, and explain the good things, the bad things in the design, some historical facts and anecdotes that many people might not know. Today I want to start the video of the series off with the FN FAL, or as people call it here, the FN FAL, the recognizable FAL. This is a rifle with a huge history. It's been used all over the world. It was called the right arm of the free world. It was the rifle of most of NATO, except for a few countries that used the G3, and most of the world actually at one point that wasn't getting supply from the Soviets. Now, as most of you know, I've been in Israel for the past year, a couple of months or so, and I've been learning from a person who used to run the R&D department in Israeli Military Industries, IMI. He was on the design team of the Galil, pretty much designed the Tavor, many other different things. And Israel used the FAL since I believe it was the late 50s, early 60s. They adopted it. Now, many of you know, might have seen from different things like History Channel's Tales of the Gun and different stories, that different shows that in Israel they had many problems with the FAL. Hence, they abandoned it and went to the Galil. While this is basically true, I want to go into that a little more depth and tell you the reasons why the FAL was problematic, what problems it caused, some of the design flaws, and I also want to go into some of the great things of the design. It has some great things in this design. And it's also taken many concepts of its design from other rifles. First, a little bit of history. This rifle was never meant to be adopted by Israel. The person I work under, who worked in IMI for many, many years, said that there was a backhanded deal that Israel promised to buy the FN FAL if Belgium would go ahead and buy something made here in Israel. I'm not really sure what it is. He's not really sure what it is, but it was some sort of backhanded deal. Now, another thing that happened was, as everybody knows, is that it was found to be unreliable under harsh desert conditions. And one of the things mistakenly attributed to Israel are these what's called the lightning cuts or the V cuts in the bolt carrier group. Now, I'll explain exactly why this rifle, when I talk about the bad parts of the design, why it wasn't great in the harsh desert environments. And there's a couple fixes Israel did do to this rifle that I have here, but this was not one of them. These V-cuts that were designed to allow dirt and sand to fall out were actually done by the British, and it was not an Israeli design. Israel did copy it later, but it was actually originally a British design. Now I want to talk a little bit about the good things of this rifle. This rifle has a few great attributes. First of all, ergonomics. Ergonomics are phenomenal. The safety is right here for a right-handed shooter's thumb. For me, I'm left-handed. It could be a little bit better with a left-handed safety, but the truth of the matter is, it can actually be operated by the trigger finger of the left hand pretty well. Very simple to go ahead and take apart. There's a lever right here. Go ahead and push this lever up. The rifle splits in half. Pull the bolt and carry it on out. Go ahead and clean it. Top cover slides right on off. And I don't want to take apart this rifle because actually this is one of the first 1,000 FALs ever made. This is number 826 out of Belgium. So it's kind of a historical rifle right here. Second thing is the gas piston system. It is an adjustable gas piston system, which is great. It allows the shooter to go ahead and adjust the amount of gas necessary to dial it down so you have just enough force hitting the mechanism, which will go ahead and allow give the rifle a lot more longevity, let it be used for a lot longer time, give a lot less battering on the bolt and carry and the internals. What are some of the bad things about this rifle? What are the reasons that cause it to malfunction in the harsh desert conditions in the Sinai Desert and the Sinai Peninsula? that caused Israel to look for changes and actually eventually throw away the rifle and go with the Galil. Well, one of the main things is the way the bolt locks. This is not a rotating bolt, and I'll get a little bit more up in depth, make closer up shots in a second, but what happens is when this bolt comes forward, rides in the carrier, these rails ride in the slots here. Now it goes ahead and pushes this bolt forward, and the bolt eventually sits down and locks down here. And it drops into place. Essentially drops down a couple of millimeters, or 5 millimeters, into place. And it's actually set, the headspace, as everyone knows, people on FAL, is set by this locking shoulder right here that is actually removable, and you actually change shoulders to actually set headspace in this rifle. What is so bad about that? First off, we know this is pretty much a very similar system to use on Russian designs. SKS, Saminov, they built a very similar system where the SKS actually drops down better and a better angle. This has actually a 5-degree angle on the bolt in carrier. It's a lot less, but what's bad about this? And why is it bad in harsh desert conditions? Well, first off, it has to do with two things. First of all, look at this. First off, this large, I'll get a close up in a second, this large extractor claw here was, let me get my dummy around, this is a 223, but it'll help demonstrate the point, was hitting very hard going in when it was chambering around. It was actually weakening the case rim. Now what happens is, in a rotating bolt mechanism, is either one of two things happen. After you fire, there's a lot of pressure. The pressure builds up and the case expands. Now what happens is, in a rotating bolt, one of two things happens. Either in different times, different rounds fired, different things happen. We've done tests on this. Is that either the case stays in place and the bolt rotates to a different spot and extracts, or when the bolt rotates, the shell will rotate with the bolt and then extract. Well, in the first case, what happens is, if the rim where the extractor is weakened and the bolt rotates, it'll be extracting on a different spot on the rim, which will be a much stronger spot on the rim of the case. If the case rotates with the bolt, it actually go ahead and relieve the pressure that's built up. The case will expand to fill the chamber, and if the case is so tight that it actually rotates with the bolt, it'll actually break that seal, and it'll allow the extraction much easier to come out. With this rifle, that was not the case. This rifle, when the piston hits the carrier and it pulls us back, the piston, this is locked. What happens is this slides back and pulls up on this bolt in a very slight angle, and it just pulls the case out of the chamber. Now, it's all fine and dandy when the rifle's clean. Put it in the desert. A lot of guys who are in Iraq have told me about this type of sand that they've encountered also, is that the sand is very fine. It gets into the chamber, a little bit of oil in the chamber, it sticks everywhere, and it gets dirty, it's very hard to get out. Now, very fine sand. Now, when the case expands after firing, that sand acts as just as a sealant. It just seals that case in there, and it actually rips the case head off. Now, in a combat situation, this is a big problem, because what you got to do is literally pull out a cleaning rod and knock the case out of the chamber, and that is a huge problem for a combat mechanism, or a combat firearm. And that was due to the design in the extractor. Now, I'll explain why. I'll put it up on the board why that was such an issue. Because it actually led to a design change in the extractor. Another thing that's a bit of an issue with this rifle is that this rifle was actually known to be able to be fired before it was complete lock, and this would sit, you know, securely in the locking shoulder right there. When that would happen, tons of pressure would come back and it would break all kinds of things. One of the biggest things that this guy I worked under was telling me was that he'd get maybe 800-900 rifles a month that would break that locking shoulder. And he was working IMI. He would have to go ahead and replace 800 of those things. Not him alone, but that was one of the main issues they had with this rifle, was that it would fire out of battery and would break that shoulder, and the extractor issue ripping off of heads off of cases. The original FAL extractor looked like this. Now you see here, this represents a spring. This is just the extractor, but we're looking at it from the side. And this is the modified FAL extractor. 99% of all FALs in America had this extractor, so if you have your FAL, don't worry, you're good. The problem with this extractor was it only had a plunger action. It didn't kind of move outward. So when it went over the rim, it didn't go out and come back over the rim. It just kind of went ahead and pushed against it, had a nice angle on it, and it kind of slipped over the rim. That would cause a lot of, that would lead to weakening the rim. What the Israelis did was they made a joint here that allowed the extractor to kind of come out and slip over the rim while being also allowed to be plunged back inside. And most FALs in Belgium actually changed to this extractor. So most FALs in the world are actually made with this extractor nowadays. This actually took care of most of the problems with the FALs malfunctions, their failure extracts, and the rims getting ripped off of the gates. You can go both back and out. That went ahead and cleared 99% of the issues they had with the FAL malfunctioning in the field. Sorry for the weird angle. Here we have how the bolt mechanism works. As it comes forward on the bolt carrier, with the whole bolt carrier group comes forward, this slides into place and drops down here in the back. So she lays down flat. Hammer falls forward, strikes the firing pin, fires around, gas cycles, comes back, strikes right there on the bolt carrier. Now the bolt carrier has these little angled cutouts there. Right there, you can see it. Pulls back right there on this little slot on the bolt, and it lifts it up and back. Again, unlike a rotating bolt, this does not turn, hence it does not either break the seal or it does not go ahead and shift to a different position on the cartridge, on the rim of the cartridge, to go ahead and when it extracts. Hence, it's very prone when the chamber is not completely clean to ripping off the rim of the case where it is actually connected to the extractor. I hope you guys enjoyed the video on the FAL, a little bit about its history here in Israel, a little bit about why it was adopted, and some of the pluses, some of the minuses, what really happened, some of the misconceptions. I know it was a little mechanics heavy, but I wanted to get some videos out there for some people who want to do want to get into firearms design, whether it be home workshop type firearms or want to do it, you know, just for the future careers. I plan on doing some more of these videos on some Monumental firearm designs. I want to do an MP44. I want to do a rifle called the Uzi Gal, which is a phenomenal rifle. It was unfortunately never adopted. It was supposed to be adopted here as the main battle rifle because of politics. Again, Israel took the wheel. And this is a rifle that Uzi Gal, the man who designed the Uzi, spent about 10 years researching and developing just to go ahead and build this prototype. And it's still, we have a few assembled prototypes that went to trial, and we have one here. Phenomenal rifle, great design. I have an original AR-10. I can actually maybe pull out and help you guys. I mean, most people know AR designs. I want to do a video on the PK, the Russian 7.62 by 54R light machine gun. that I believe is the finest light machine gun in the world. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Anything you want to know in particular, anything about the FAL, any suggestions. I also want to do some videos about different components, trigger mechanisms, why certain ones are more reliable than others, pistons, why Russians have the Russian systems have some of the finest pistons out there, piston systems. So please leave me feedback, let me know what you guys want to see, and thanks for watching.